Hello, welcome to True Hoop with me, Jarod, Hector, and Coach David Thorpe. How are you, sir?
Little disappointed, Jarod. Little disappointed
Yeah, why's that?
because I left Milwaukee right when it was turning much colder. Well, it was going to be 71 as the high, and I get to Florida and I'm dealing with the potential hurricane. So Milwaukee would have been lovely. We actually could have eaten outside. Weather was decent. It was getting cool, and then I fucking had to leave. But such is life.
Florida, a strange place. As you know, my parents live down there. They've been down there over a year now. It's like a year and a half. They've been living there now. They're on the east side of the state, on the Atlantic Ocean
Very
side.
different.
And I went to visit them not this past weekend, the weekend before, and I was very annoyed because it had rain in the fort. I mean, it's just been raining though, and I'm like, guys, I just want to go to the beach, please. They're like, well, we don't know. You might be. We can't predict the weather. It's just going to be
raining in the morning.
It was perfect all day until about 4:00 every day.
Okay, so that's my life growing up. You could set your clock to the 4 p.m. thunderstorms, and honestly, with climate change, this is the first summer we've had that. And my wife and I were talking. We both grew up in Florida.
Right.
We were laughing like, this is like our childhood, where you just knew. For me, that's when you could play Atari. We had wasn't Atari. We had Activision, it was called.
Yeah.
Pathfinder and stuff. Because you're out hooping all day, and at 4:00 inside, you can't be in the pool because of lightning, whatever. And it's been my kids don't know that story. They don't know that. This has been the summer of the 4 p.m. thunderstorms. So you got to just go to the beach first thing in the morning.
That's right. That's what we did. So we get up, we run, and then we go have breakfast and go to the beach. And so perfect few days down there. So it was lovely.
But the Atlantic Ocean is not the Gulf of Mexico, buddy.
No.
You got to come to Clearwater next summer. Unless we fucking leave, which we might. I don't think we'll be gone. I don't think we'll be gone by next summer, though. So, or next spring, really.
Come hang out with Coach David Thorpe down there on the western side of the state in the Gulf of Mexico.
Our beaches are better.
Well, listen. As someone who lives in the Northeast, and look, there are people who don't live near beaches, so I don't want to sound like I'm like complaining. But the beaches we have here, the stretch of A1A in Fort Lauderdale, pretty freaking nice compared to the beaches that I have here.
I didn't know where you were going with that. Well, first of all, I love that area too. We don't. I did Lauderdale when I was in college for spring break, but I literally never took my sneakers. I played outdoor hoops for 8 hours a day. Yeah, but because I felt like I've done the beach thing all my life.
Right.
But we've gone to some great hotels around that area from Miami up.
Yep.
Yeah, it's fantastic. The Gulf of Mexico is just. The sand is just different. It's just different.
Oh, yeah.
It's great.
For sure.
Yeah. I don't know the Northeast beaches.
Yeah. Well, for the most part, you don't want to know the Northeast beaches, David. I'm being perfectly honest.
There's lots of amazing things. New York City is definitely in our target list for at least 1 3-month period, but it won't be to go to the beach.
And, and let me say, for those of you who love out east on the Hamptons and whatever, no judgment, no shade, Jersey Shore, no judgment, no shade. As you all know, I go to Martha's Vineyard every summer. I'm just saying, if we're looking like smooth sand and warm water, that ain't quite that.
Okay? My daughter is moving to D.C. this week. This is our last week, maybe ever, but we'll have kids except when they're just visiting. And she doesn't know. She was in Orlando for 4 years, so that isn't the beach. But
it's Central Florida, right? So no beach right next to you.
Right. She's had most of her life where it just wasn't a big deal to get up, let's go to the beach in 20 minutes. Or at 7 o'clock at night, let's go to the beach in 20 minutes.
Right.
And that's just not going to be that way when she's in the D.C. area. Yeah. Not the same.
David, when I'm visiting my parents, they're 9 miles from the beach. When I'm on Martha's Vineyard, when we're on our beach vacations, I'm like, see, to be literally this close, this is I want this in my life. Like I love it. It's wonderful.
It's not going to be easy. I mean, swimming is just, it's in my DNA for sure. But I'm looking forward to making the mountains in my DNA for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see if it takes. I mean, I think.
Well, they say as you get older, it's harder to incorporate new things, but I'm pretty confident in your abilities, David.
I told you, that's why I got an electric car. Like, I want new things. I just feel like I don't want to be the same curmudgeon I've always been. Not really a curmudgeon, I'm kidding. I don't think I qualify as curmudgeon. I can't be
you're
curmudgeon.
A dumb fan asking him stupid basketball questions. You will definitely be curmudgeon if you ask a dumb basketball question. Yeah.
I'm normally pretty good about that too. All right, you came up with a good idea for today. You're gonna hate my choices, I think, but I'm gonna love your choices.
No. Here, look, so basketball starting up soon.
You'll see why.
We have our first preseason game in Abu Dhabi of all places, and we talked about on a couple podcasts why we will be playing in Abu Dhabi. Not really hard to think about it. October 4th. The hottest place ever. Sure, let's
go. It ain't the
there.
beaches. It ain't the
Well,
beaches.
it ain't for the beaches. That's exactly right. That's not why they're playing there. You all can figure out why, and if you don't know, listen back to any of our episodes when we talk about anything, and you'll know why. So yeah, that'll be like on October 4th. So literally like 11 days from now. That'll be a game between.
Where does the New Zealand? There's 2 games on the 4th.
Yeah, and I think that game is in New Zealand. The New Zealand game.
It would make sense. Yeah.
New Zealand Breakers and I forget who's playing that game, but another NBA team.
I just looked it up and forgot already. Yeah.
So that's what's happened. Anyway, I decided we're going to start doing our preview shows as I talked about last week, but we're a ways away from MVPs and all that. Like that stuff we do right towards the end before the season starts. So I said to David this morning on our morning call, why don't we just pick 5 players we're most interested in thinking about as we head into this season? And whenever you make a 5 list, it's always like people misunderstand what I'm saying. It isn't like I only care about these 5 and nobody else, or like, because when you think about it, you're like, I care about hundreds of players.
Right, we can't talk about 55.
Correct. We don't got time for
that.
All right.
An hour show. Yeah. Well, I
said, all right.
I already didn't follow your rules.
You went with more than 5?
I have 6.
Listen. I expect that. That's okay.
I figured you could be nice to me. I'll start and I'll just finish, and then we can sandwich your 5 in between, and we'll be fine. You can go 6 too if you want. I don't care.
Because you know what it is. It's like when we do our top 5, we always end up with like 7 or something. Right? There's always an extra you got to squeeze in. I did manage to stick to 5, even though I could have easily added more. So what we'll do is David will start with 1, and I'll go 1 back and forth, and we'll say why, and we'll talk about this player. All right, David. So you kick off with the first player you're interested in talking about.
I've told you 3 off the. I think I can't give you 3 off the bat on our content call this morning. So I'm well. First of all, you're not gonna like my choices. Number 1, I didn't follow the rules of 5. Number 2, there's only a few teams represented. Number 3, none of them are contenders. Number 4, probably no All-Stars on my list, although one really hopes to be. Yeah, but your list is a great list. So my first guy I thought of when you asked me this was Jalen Green. Jalen Green, I was not excited about his draft prospects from the standpoint of, if I remember correctly, because it was a few years ago now, super athletic, super skilled, looks like the prototypical wing we want, especially as a shooting guard, but doesn't know how to play at all. But you have to learn how to play. And so what I contended then was, give me a guy that knows how to play, and I just have to teach his skills up, get his skills up, over the opposite. The guy that's got all the requisite skills and athleticism but doesn't know how to play. I think it's harder to teach those guys, in my opinion, and we could do a whole show on that. I could write a story on it. And so last year was the first year it looked like near the end of the season, like, okay, here comes Jalen. Just the team was playing well. In fact, I actually looked it up because my memory was he was doing really good, and then he died. So who knows if I remember well that many months ago for a team that was a contender. Turns out I actually got that one right. So 27.7 points per game in March, 49% from the field, 40.8% from 3, 6-4, which is good. And the team went 13-2.
That's pretty
Murdering
good.
It. Like that's all. Those are all-star numbers without any hesitation. If you did that month to month. Well, then April came. They only played 8 games. They went 3-5, 17 points a game, 38% from the field, 29 from 3. So we're going to see a little bit of everything this year. All players live in those ranges, almost all. LeBron doesn't have too many bad games. And Luka doesn't have many low scoring games.
Right.
What are we going to see? Right. They're a team that we think is going to ascend into a definite playoff berth, or most people think that. They're my middle class. And so it's, to me, I mean, I think he's in year 4. Doesn't have an extension.
He didn't get signed yet, did he?
I don't think he has an extension. I could be wrong. That's coming up in the next month. They've only got a month left to do it. Yeah, for some reason, I don't think he's got one yet.
You are correct, David. Nope.
So, yeah, I'm intrigued with their team. I'm interested in their team, and I love his talent. And if you don't figure it out in year 4, that doesn't mean you won't figure it out in year 5, 6, 7. Even if you figure it out late in year 4, that's fine. But that trend isn't great if you don't end up figuring out by the end of this year in terms of what your value is going to be, especially for someone that's got all the royal gel you could ever want as a number. Was he number 2 pick?
Yep.
So that's my first guy.
I love that pick, David, because, and this is interesting, right? So This is year 4. This is the last year of his rookie deal. At the end, he becomes a restricted free agent.
Correct.
Normally, teams where they see that, oh, this is our guy, by year 3, they've already got inked into the rookie max extension if they see him as that guy, right? John Moran, all these types of players. They have not done that with him yet, which suggests to me the team has some hesitancy about who you are. And part of it is probably based on what you said, that excellent March where he was gangbusters and all-star, and April where it was like, not so much. And you talked about this before. I mean, consistency, right? That jump is, the hardest jump you said is from being all-star to superstar, right? That's the hardest one to make. But another hard jump to make is from regular starter to all-star, right? That is a very hard jump to make. There are a lot of starting level rotation players in the NBA who ain't never going to be an all-star because that's just not in the cards for you.
Well, not giving him the max, and that could change, is also a bit of a sign that they don't think he can go get one. Because if you do what Phoenix did with DeAndre Ayton, and they basically said, go get us a max, which is what, when I talk to agents, that's a common thing they're talking about now that I don't remember them talking about much before, is the team saying, if you want us a max, go find a max and we'll match it because you're restricted. But that doesn't create warms and fuzzies, right?
No.
Yeah, it's not puppy dogs and ice cream. DeAndre, obviously, is already gone.
Correct.
And so if the Rockets are saying, you want a max, we don't think you can get a max, we'll pay you whatever you're worth. But the fact they wouldn't do it early,
right?
To me, it's a sign that there's question marks there. They don't believe he'll get one, and there's not a lot of teams that even have it to begin with, because of the first and second apron and everything. So, yeah, I'm interested in how he does this year.
Well, it's like everything else, right, David? How does player react to that, right? Does that make you, okay, I'm going to show you not only be awesome with my skills and consistent, but be a team guy and do, right? What's he going to show them? If he comes out gangbusters October through December, and they're like, shit, and then we're getting all the all-star buzz. Well, now, okay, we're going to do the thing.
They can't extend him after October 31st, whatever, but they certainly can give him all the feelings of, okay, you're our guy.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, so we'll see how he reacts to that. All right, my first player is someone we've talked about a lot, Derek Lively II. And, one of the running bits on this podcast is I always joke to David and Henry, no, enough of that warm and fuzzy shit. We don't want to hear that. Like, let's talk about ball. But from a human perspective, it is impossible not to root for this kid. Dad died of a drug overdose when he was 8. Mom died of cancer earlier this year. And he's 20, 21, whatever he is. He's super young. Horrendous, right? To have no parental figures in your life at such a young age, and
unimaginable for me.
Yes, correct. Me too. And to deal with the pressures of what it's like to be in the NBA, and when you're not even a fully formed adult yet, right? That is a lot to manage and deal with. And for him to have the season he had last year, where he played super well for an NBA Finals team, kudos. On the basketball floor, David, I'm so curious to what he can potentially become. 7'1" already, so he's a live wire, right? Very bouncy on the floor. He made a 3 in the NBA Finals, which many people remember. He dedicated to his mom. I was like, man, and the shot looked good. So if he is a corner 3, because that's the shortest 3-point shot, that corner thing, if he can do that consistently, and I don't know if he can, if he's worked on it or whatever, but if that's a thing, wow, what another piece that they can unlock in Dallas with his already elite rim running. He's an elite rebounder, elite paint protector, right? Like, you add that piece into it, what a joy this could be for a Mavericks team who already has fucking Luka and Kyrie, which, already those two in and of by themselves, that's already a hard thing to stop. So I'm rooting for him as a person and what to see that he becomes and develops as his game matures.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I like the zeal that he competes with. Obviously, he's long and athletic and all that. It's a perfect fit with Luka's lob throwing. He and Gafford, 48 minutes of solid, if not very good, defensive player. Yeah, if he's trending towards, this guy's an all-star when he's 24, 25, that's the home run Dallas wanted. If we want to put 4 all-stars next to Luka, but let's make sure we protect him with a rim protector first.
Right.
And so they might have nailed it. That would be amazing. Yeah.
Oh, man. So Luka at 27, 28 in his prime, so to speak, right? With a 24-year-old all-star live center like that. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Good luck.
It's a nice combination for sure.
Yeah. All right. Who's your second pick?
Number 2 is Amen Thompson from Houston. Another Rocket. I told you, only have a couple of teams represented.
That's fine. We like it.
He's extraordinary, and I was worried about him as a draft prospect because I think he chose the less competitive route. I don't think I know he did. I've talked to. I actually really like the Overtime Elite guys, and I coached a player that worked out there. And is close to the Thompson twins. I don't know the Thompson twins, but there's no argument. I mean, they try to tell me that, hey, it's pretty tough when you play the same teams over and over again. And I'm just thinking, bro, like Big 10, Big 12, SEC, come on.
Right. Yeah.
Big East.
Right.
It ain't the same thing. Not even remotely in the same universe. They just happen to both play on courts with basketballs, and that's it. Okay? It's a much easier route in every possible scenario. As it would have been had they gone to like a big time high school, which I don't know if they did. I don't remember if they used it as a I don't remember if they used it as a post grad year or not, because he's like almost 22. So they might have, but nevertheless, holy fuck, is he good? I did not call Overtime Elite when I wrote about it, which I did when I wrote about Weissman. Had I done so, I would have learned he's actually super competitive. I just would have been untrusting anyway. Maybe I even did call, I don't remember, but I didn't trust it. Now super competitive, super serious. I just spent some time in Atlanta, went to Overtime Elite. Like those two guys and Don Barlow were like heroes because of their work ethic. They live in the gym. And so I love that. All the guy does is dunk on you, make great passes, steal the ball, rebound his ass off with a I don't know what he's listed at, 6'6", 6'7".
6'7".
Yeah. Just uber athletic with skills. Handle, passes, worst shooter in the league except for his brother. Like they're among the worst two shooters, top bottom five. Still a positive player because his D. This is the message to all young players. If you just play good defense, you almost automatically are going to be an average player, which is great. Like you've got a spot there. So, but what if he can? What if he can shoot, right? What if, or just decently? What if he's just a decent shooter and develop a little second box scoring game?
Right.
They got themselves a marvelous player. I'm real excited for him and want to see that kind of growth.
On the wing, I mean, he's, again, when you in a lab and you're creating a prototypical wing player, that's what you want his body to look like. And he is, as David mentioned, 22. So 21. So super young.
Yeah. So I think it was like Overtime Elite was a post grad year basically for them. So yeah, you could have gone to go play for Duke. Anyone. They were 5-star athletes. Yeah. So he and his brother could have gone anywhere in the country, and that would have been a better choice, I think, from the standpoint of proving how competitive you are. But they love, what I've heard is they love to train. All they want to do is train. Didn't want to go to school. And you know what? I cannot second guess the choice they made. They picked their dad as an agent, which also is a red flag for me because it's a tough business. And I don't think just someone off the streets can do a good job, personally. Nevertheless, it didn't hurt him in the draft status. Although they could have gone 2 and 3 maybe. But no, I'm a super fan of the talent of Ben Thompson.
So as someone who, among many of your player development traits, is teach players how to shoot, do you need to possess shooting talent to learn how to shoot, or can you still teach anyone how to shoot?
It's a great question. I think that if you get the mechanics and form and psychology right, but don't have much talent at it, meaning at some point you got to throw the ball in the hole. That requires a touch, a feel, a depth perception. As I always joke, my best shooters ever, which I'm happy to say that I helped. I'm not really sure I did or not, because they're also the kind of guy that can wad up a piece of paper and never miss the trash can. They just have that ability, right? And so if he's serviceable, given everything else he's got, he's fine. He's a good player. He's a plus player.
For sure.
He's an all-NBA defender. I don't even know if he's not a point guard. He just isn't a shooting point guard. But he's so gifted as a passer. I think he was 95th percentile in assist rate, something like that. He's super transition, a joke, but he goes to the glass. I think it's funny. Look at his comps and synergy. Number one comp was a guy named Azor Thompson. That's Pat Thompson, his brother. And then Russell Westbrook. That's no surprise. Pretty good. No surprise. These are the elite of elite of elite athletes. And unlike Russell, they've got legit size as a guard. Like prototypical size. That's another level. Yeah.
And no doubt, if you were working with him, obviously you would start him on the mechanics and the college and all that. But in terms of teaching him how to score, you'd be like, hey, man, let's work on first and second box stuff, right? Like,
Yeah.
get
Second
you
box
using that as
especially,
athleticism.
he's good in the first box. I would work. He made a move. I just sent it to the virtual library today. He did a fake Euro where he kind of fakes going right to left and goes back right. It's a clever move. It's something I really like doing. I used to have Corey Brewer work on it, who's super athletic. And when you Euro right to left, you become less athletic because you're jumping off your weaker leg and you're going sideways around your defender instead of exploding vertically, like straight through and up.
Yep.
And so when he did it was the athletic way. I love that. Yeah, he's crafty, clever. Houston, they got some hell of a player there. I just want to see how good, because in the playoffs, you have to guard him or he'll kill you on the glass. He'll kill you on cuts. He's always going downhill. You can't put a big on him because he'll blow by the big and dunk on him. And on the other end, he's guarding your best player.
Love it.
That dude, this is a max player. This is what a max player looks like when they can't shoot. Like Giannis. He's just a smaller version. This guy's going to be he's got a chance to be a max level guy if he just keeps doing what he's doing.
Man, Houston, if you guys, and I think Ime's the right guy, if you guys can just get the right balance of trust and all that together, you guys are really cooking with grease down there. That's big stuff down in Houston.
And I didn't mention his name because you're a mean man and only said I could do 5. And I broke your rule by doing 6. If I did 7, I'd done Jabari Smith Jr., a third Rocky.
I was thinking about him too. Yeah,
because that's the guy. If you can have a non-shooting guard when your 4 can shoot and Şengün can shoot. So
right.
Yeah, they're an exciting team.
Houston should be very good this year. All right, my second pick is an older player who's been an all-star in the past. But it's more I have a question about him, David. It's Bradley Beal, the Phoenix Suns. And my question is, was 2021 the high watermark of his career? All-NBA third team. And which is nothing to sneeze at, of course. In the past 3 seasons, David, he's only played 143 games, which is only 58% of available games. And that's not great for a player with 2 years and a player option left for his third. I just wonder, like, who is Bradley Beal? Because at his peak with Wall, and then that year where he made I'm like, this guy is really good.
Yeah, good all-around player.
Can he return to that level again?
Yeah.
He's only 30.
Yeah, I'm rooting for him. I'd love to see Phoenix, just because of KD as much as anything, same as you, and Book. I've just been
Book's so good.
Enormous Booker fan. Not a fan of the owner, fan of the players.
Yeah,
and so I think Beal is very important. I think everyone feels like, who's he going to be, because he's being paid so much money. I've had a player say to me, a max player say to me, his biggest fear wasn't anything other than not being the player he's supposed to be. Because this particular guy told me, I just don't want to be that guy that's taking someone's money and not producing. And I said, listen, it happens all the time.
All the time.
He can't handle it. Well, Beal is being paid, I think, in the 60s, no?
In 53 this year, 53 next year, and the $57 million option in the player option year.
Okay. Yeah.
Which, of course, he will opt into. Let's be clear.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I'd like to see him at least be close to that number. It's hard to imagine, but.
And I think as someone like, as what I've seen from Beal in the past and stuff you said this year, he doesn't seem like the kind of guy who wants to be just out here collecting checks. I think he wants to play good basketball and not be talked about on these shows as like a scrub who's making money and not contributing.
I'm a fan of his for a different reason. When my son was at Florida, he had a teammate named Cam Fletcher who's had back-to-back ACL tears tragically. He was a McDonald's All-American. I don't know if he was or not, but I think he was. Went to Kentucky, transferred to Florida State. He's a St. Louis kid, and he plays for Beal's AAU team. And my son, and they were best friends. When I would go visit my son, my wife and I went one time, but I went a few times. If you went there lunchtime, Cam was walking in. It was summertime. Walking in, he was picking up the burritos, bringing to Max's condo, and they were hanging out. All they did was watch games during the summer. Addicted. I mean, he didn't even knock. He just walked in with his burritos, one for Max, one for him.
Basketball.
and so Max said Beal called all the time, or vice versa. Like he took care of his guys. And I know that that isn't unique. I have a player who's got his own AAU team in the Midwest, and he called me when he to tell me one of his best players committed to a program that I'm real familiar with at a high level, and he was all excited about it. He said, he told me, I don't tell these kids where to go, but I pay attention. And so I love that Beal did that for Cam.
Yeah,
St. Louis has some tough areas, and I'm sure guys like Bradley are inspirational to them. So yeah, and he went to Florida. Not that I care so much anymore about that, but I loved him when he was at Florida because he played the right way.
Yeah.
And I thought he was a much better prospect Then Michael Kidd-Gilchrist went number 2 to the Wizards that same draft.
Well, we know how that ended up. David Thorpe right again about that one. All right, folks, we'll be back after a brief commercial break. All right, David, who is your third player?
So not only can I be curmudgeonly, I can also be really boring. So I went with the other Thompson twin. They're so similar, equally terrible shooters. On a bad team, he played pretty average on defense. He played very good on defense, average overall. Super intriguing to me because, again, it's a little bit different. Houston has more players and are competing for something. That's a different challenge for our men against some of the veterans they have. Asar has a bunch of other young guys. They just drafted Ron Holland. They've got other young guys at almost every position. And I don't know. He does project to be just like his brother. I think he's the guys that I've talked over to lead have all thought Amen was a little bit better projection wise. And that's how they were drafted. Amen went first. Asar made some threes late in the season. I don't know if it means anything. I thought they looked pretty compact looking for him. Again, the Rocket, when you're a team like the Pistons, what you're trying to do, this is how I see it, Jarod, is think of the steps you need to take as ladders, and the rungs of the ladder are made of something soft. And so you can't climb up the rungs of a ladder if your foot keeps going through the rung. So you're looking for hard pieces, solid foundational pieces you can climb up. So Asar being one of those guys, well, we know this is a guy that's going to start for us when we're in the playoffs because he's going to be able to guard the other team's best scorer. He's just like his brother, elite defender. He's going to be able to be a playmaker for us. And if you don't want to guard him because he can't shoot, you're going to have to you can't ignore him because he is a great slasher and will also kill you on the glass. So if he can prove to be that over the course of a season, he's going to have a positive plus minus this year. And that's going to be a firm piece. We'll get to some of the other guys they have maybe later today. So, yeah, I'm hoping he and his brother both prove to be solid guys because then their potential can really take off because they have much higher upside than just solid.
And we've talked about this in the past, right? When you are a positive impact player and you're showing growth and improvement on a team that's going nowhere, which the Pistons were his rookie year, that's a good sign. Also amidst the fact that they had a first-year head coach who's not there, and that matters. He'll have now 2 head coaches in only 2 seasons in the NBA, right? The Monty thing clearly was not working out right away in year 1, and now he's a new coach in year 2. I would like to think JB Bickerstaff might be better for him because JB at least has that track record of building up those young guys in Cleveland before they started making. They actually got them to the playoffs, and then things all went downhill for him there, but maybe that helps him, right? Another guy was like, okay, let's continue to build those foundational steps you talked about so he can improve as a player. I'll be watching that.
Yeah, it's the coach, it's management. It's, Trajan's there now as the GM. I think he's a GM. The head coach has part of this. You got to give him love, royal jelly, give him time. I think he'll get that. Let's hope anyway because he needs it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, my third pick is Trey Murphy III for the New Orleans Pelicans. Yeah. David, I love this guy. 6'8", long, he can shoot. Well, David knows my basketball love language. Tall dudes who can shoot. There it is. Now the question though is, who? Similar to Bradley Beal, who are you? This will be year 4 in the NBA. He's been making all the positive trends in EPM. He's a plus player last year. Seems like a decent athlete, decent off-ball mover, elite shooter, and an above-average defender by the metrics. Is that all he is? And if it's all he is, that's fine because he'll have a healthy NBA career. But can he be something more than that?
Yeah. Yeah. I've had a lot of people talking to me about him. Is he making Brandon Ingram expendable?
Yeah,
that's something you hear a lot about. I'm a big fan. My son loved him when he was at Virginia when Max was at Florida State and said, this guy's an NBA player. I said, well, join the club. Everyone knows that. But he was right. He said he should be a lottery pick. And he was struggling. There's a great story about him. There's a personal story for me. He was struggling to where he would fall out of the rotation. I probably have said this on the show once before. He fell out of the rotation. So David Griffin, the team president or vice president, whatever is the leader of that team, whatever the title they give him, he moved Trey to the G League to play for my kid, Ryan Pannone, to breathe some spirit back into him. I don't think it went well the first game, or maybe the first practice. Ryan talked to him. I think like one game later, he had 30-something points. I'm not sure he even played another game after that. He went back and never came down again. That's what G League should be doing. And that's what a guy who's an expert at giving royal jelly like Ryan can do. And so, now can he be an all-star or is he Danny Green? When I say Danny Green, solid defender, good shooter, steady as she goes, wing.
Yep.
But if he's got all-star potential because he's scoring 22 a night next to Zion, okay, we're cooking.
Yeah, and that's what I wonder. I'm like, I see glimpses of, I think you can be that, and I wonder again if no Brandon Ingram, which we kind of had, he was out a lot last year with injury. We kind of saw that, so I'm like, and then now we've all the talk all summer about no one's going to move Brandon Ingram. Is he getting traded? So I think these are the questions. So I'll be watching Trey Murphy III very closely. All right, who is your number 4?
Number 4, again, my lack of originality is impressive. I'm going with Cade Cunningham from the Pistons. two Rockets, 2 Pistons in my top 4. I just don't know what to make of him. He's getting paid all that money. He's a max player now. I thought he could be a Jason Tatum type player as more of a primary one, but still really, really good shooter, can get his own shot, adult on the court, make plays everywhere. We don't know what he can do. He played 62 games last year.
Yeah.
And they just were so bad. It's not fair to evaluate
Terrible.
him. So let's see this year. I have him winning 25 games. Last year they won like 14. So that would be a big improvement. That might be the biggest. Right. If he ends up being a special talent with all-star numbers just on a bad team, he may not make the all-star team, but we'll know, okay, he was the first pick in the draft.
Yes, correct.
Right? He's the number 1 player coming in high school. So, does he have a burst to score and get buckets efficiently? Where's his defense at? How is he moving? Can he play more athletically? Can he play with more tempo? Does he get back to being the shooter we thought he might be when he first was leaving Montverde? These are big questions that I have, and health is a big part of it.
Like we just said about Asor Thompson. If Cade can show on a bad team, because Detroit will be bad this year, that he is improving, that is going to be a very good sign. But if he wallows in the muck that Detroit is, I'm not feeling great. I feel like David, since he had that breakout, because he was on the select team for Team USA, what was it, 2 or 3 summers ago?
Yeah.
And everybody's like raving how awesome he was. Since then, nothing good. We heard nothing good about him.
And they still maxed him.
Yeah. So that bears watching. All right, next player I'm looking for, bit of a homer pick because I love this team, the Memphis Grizzlies, Vince Williams Jr. He was a player, was a late second round pick in 2022.
Yeah.
He played in the G League as a rookie, mostly in the G League in his second year with limited NBA minutes, and he was one of the worst players in the NBA by all metrics, like -6 on the EPM. Fucking terrible. And then last year, because of injuries, team going nowhere, he played almost 28 minutes a game in 52 games. Small NBA sample size. He was a plus player. He's 6'6", so he's got some size on him. He can defend already, plus a plus defender, and he shot 37% from 3 on 4 attempts per game. He's 23, so he's young with 50 whatever NBA games. So that ain't a large sample size. With more oxygen, as David always talks about. Who can this guy be, and have the Grizzlies found some gold with the 47th pick in the draft a couple years ago?
Yeah, really quick, athletic guys that love defense and racing around with good size. There's a place in the NBA for him. If he can make threes consistently, they're that much better. But athletic, filling lanes, cutting, that's what the Thompson twins did. Energy is a talent. He brings a lot of energy when he plays.
He does.
Those things really matter. And yeah, that was good coaches tend to find guys like that because they're everywhere, but they get it out of them.
Yeah.
They get it out of them. Yeah.
And they were lucky. Look, because again, if the Grizzlies didn't have all those injuries, I don't know that he'd ever find Peter gets those minutes, right? So it was almost by happenstance.
Yeah, being the G League.
So now they know and the G League, so they have them. And this is a team that, mind you guys, that their backcourt is not tall. John Morant, Desmond Bane, Marcus Smart, Luke Kennard, those are not tall players.
What is Bane?
Right?
6'4" listed?
Which means he's probably like 6'3.5".
Right.
Probably,
Yeah. I'm sure
at
it's
6'6".
in the combine. But
you need
short-armed.
Yeah, correct. And he's got T-Rex arms. Exactly. So if you're 6'6" and you've at least got normal wingspan or a little bit taller, that's going to be huge if he can play some 3. So I'm going to be watching what's going on down there in Memphis with him. All right, David, who's your number 4 guy? 4 or 5? 5.
Number 5. So I'm not picking a Rockets player or a Pistons player. But he's not a player that most people will be familiar with, although he was a first-round pick. But I'm telling you, the team he plays for is the milk toastiest team. Who would you think that is?
Milkiest?
Milk? No, not milkiest. Milk toastiest. Yeah, milk.
Oh.
Like the most vanilla.
Oh, I was like, a bunch of white dudes? I'm like, I don't know. Who's kind of a bunch of white dudes on the team?
Yeah, he isn't, but yeah. But I don't mean it that way. I meant like it's just there's no spice to this team. The franchise, I should say. Who would you guess it is?
The Wizards?
No, but DC's got some spice.
That's true.
Right.
The Hornets?
That's a good call. No, because they got LaMelo. No, I picked the Jazz player. I happen to love Salt Lake City as it turns out.
They got Laurie. Laurie's good.
Laurie's amazing, yeah. Well, I picked a guy named Taylor Hendricks.
Oh, yeah,
who was
like
a first-round pick, number 10 pick maybe. I thought the Pacers should have picked him at 9 when they picked Jarris Walker. He went, I think, 1 pick later to the Jazz. He's a 3-point shooting, shot blocking 5 who knows how to play. He was an excellent player at UCF. When my daughter was at school, so I saw him play in person, actually. He was a 5-star player who they just gave his twin brother a scholarship, so he went to UCF. But he could have gone anywhere. He was recruited by everyone. Walker Kessler probably doesn't start. I think Taylor is going to start. And Walker was really good as a rookie. So
Walker was so good early on
as a rookie, not as last year. So that's why I think they could even trade him. So Taylor is, I mean, there's just not a lot of guys that can block shots and make threes. He becomes a $25, $30 million guy immediately if he just can make threes, which he did last year, and stay healthy. He didn't play a lot last year. But I'm a huge fan of his talent. And he's a great pick next to Markkanen. John Collins can be traded. Markkanen's your 4. Markkanen needs to play with a rim-protecting shooting 5 for space on offense and protection on defense. That's who Hendricks is. And Colin Sexton, a very talented guard. In addition to Keontae George, who's talented but isn't good yet, Sexton's good. They both need a small, diminutive guards.
Yes.
They need a big 4, Markkanen 7 feet.
Shot blocker.
And a shot blocking 5. So the fit is great. Now he's just got to do it. The opportunity should be there.
What will and we like Will Hardy as a coach. We think Will's good and they run good stuff. The question is, does Danny want them to be good this year or not? I don't know. We'll find out as time goes on.
Yeah.
My number 5 player, not a surprise. Well, maybe it is a surprise. Chet Holmgren, Oklahoma City Thunder. David, did you know of all the starters on Oklahoma City, Chet was the only one that played all 82 games.
Oh, wow.
Now,
I thought he played the most games. I didn't realize he played all 82.
You know how we feel, people listening to this spot, about the 82 game schedule. But I think that's a good sign for him because many people were concerned about his small frame and him getting hurt and all that kind of thing. Which, by the way, injuries could still happen anyway. We're hoping anybody. It doesn't.
Yeah,
to anybody.
It's just a probability thing.
Correct.
Henry told us this because he saw him at P3, and P3 felt really good about what his numbers look like. I don't know any details. And he played a bunch he didn't miss college games at Gonzaga either, which is indicative. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. So we had all 82 games last year, and he had a taste of the playoffs, right? So again, still small sample size.
Bitter taste.
Yeah, well, get into that. A bitter taste in the playoffs, right? Because they got routed by the Dallas Mavericks. But, they were number 1 seed. Chet played well on both ends of the floor. Yep. But all the talk last year, David, and rightfully so, was about Victor Wembanyama. Right, the generational player, and he's going to be the best player in the league, the face of the league. You and I do not disagree with that. Chet, to me, seems like someone who cares about shit like that. Oh, you think that guy is so much better than me and I have no place in this league? Fuck you, motherfuckers. I'm going to show you. So I'm just curious. All summer when everybody's Wemby, Olympics, he was so great. What was Chet working on in the lab, and what's he going to look like coming out this season? I'm so excited to see.
When you say "fuck you, motherfuckers," you're channeling your inner David Thorpe.
No, yes.
I texted a player yesterday, like this guy's trying to break in the rotation of a team that's very good, and the kid looks terrific. I just saw him, and I texted him, and I wrote, "fuck everybody." I said, "This is a fuck everybody season," and I don't remember the emoji he put in, but And he responded like, "That's all I needed to write." Like he gets it. Yeah, I love that. I told you my favorite shirt of all time. I've never worn it. It
Look at you,
says
fucking
"Fuck you,
buggers.
you fucking fuck." It's from the girl with the dragon tattoo.
Yeah, yeah.
The woman there wears it. Yeah. So I think Chet's super competitive. I absolutely think that. I've watched him on film this summer. I just don't trust these pickup A game where
Because they're just whatever.
no one's competing.
Right.
But he's working on his Durant stuff, which worries me a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
But he's going to be a very good player. And again, there were people who had felt like, oh, he's not going to be brittle. He'll be fine. His skeleton's built just fine. He's just skinny, but he's not afraid of people.
No,
he's a high level player.
Yeah, and you and I and everybody else so high on this Oklahoma City Thunder team. They're so young. And again, if you get marginal improvements from him, Jay Williams is like that all-star. I mean, now it's like they're already the 1 seed last year, right? So now it's like, wait, with that year of experience and the bitter playoff loss, okay, that's fuel for some fire.
Yeah, I would have picked J-Dub on that team.
I was thinking about him, but we talked about him so much that basically if he's an all-star, then forget it. Lights out.
Right, because Chet's going to be right there too. Okay, my sixth guy, because I had to do it. Mm-hmm. I had to go back to the Pistons. Sorry,
Jay
listener. Jay Nivey, yeah.
I thought so.
Jay Nivey was one of the worst players in the league as a rookie. Minus 4.4 in EPM. Last year, minus 0.8.
Oh, he's coming.
He was getting to the Mendoza line. He was getting to 0.0 and then kind of died at the end as the team died. Got better on defense. He's been a 34% three-point shooter both seasons. I think maybe 33.7 or 34.3, so it averages up to 34. He needs to improve that some. But I love him next to Cade. And he's a better playmaker than people thought he might be. Super athletic Dwayne Wade type that way. This is the year where we need to see he's young. He's not young. He's like 18, but he played a few years in college. If he can be their starting two, that means Thompson can be the three, if and a few others with Cade at the one. That's an athletic, solid, smart threesome right there. That young that I think they can really grow with.
David, I think you've gotten our listeners to be like, Detroit, at least early, might be an early league pass watch early in the season. Let's see where they are.
Yeah, I mean, if you like watching NASCAR with second string drivers, there's going to be a lot of crashing and burning, but it's going to be exciting when they're not crashing. Yeah, the hope is they're like 21 and 32. Down the last 2.5 months of the season. Where They've already way surpassed their wins from last year.
Right.
And they're probably not getting to 500, but they get to 35, 36 wins from 14 the year before. All right. They're trending forward. Yeah, that's what I think they're probably hoping for.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. All right, David, it's also the time of year where videos of players working out trickle out. It's hashtag mixtape season. We know it, right? Who's in the gym doing what, whatever. So every year around this time, the annual Ben Simmons mixtape comes out. He was here in New York at Lifetime Fitness, which is not too far from me. It's in Times Square. And he's with Chris Brickley, the trainer over there, and you see videos of him shooting the ball, shooting threes, working on dribble moves, whatever. Look, David's already made it clear how he feels about those mixtapes and those videos. I made it clear as well. Here is someone that we both are rooting for as a player and a human, from a human perspective, right? We want this guy to be able to play again and be good.
Sure.
There's just no evidence to suggest that's going to happen. Backs are notoriously unpredictable, and who the hell knows? He looks great now. The minute training camp start, he gets bumped the wrong way by a big dude, and then we're back where we started again. So I'm holding out any hope for anything positive happening.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm in the same boat, and I've told before, I don't love this whole marketing your business with these players. Whatever, everyone's doing it with me, but he's an easy guy to root for, despite some of his issues. Boy, I'd love to see it. I'm rooting for all of them because Brooklyn would move him to, like I said today about Miami. Like I'd love to see him or Spurs, whatever. I'd love to see him on a team that's ascending and just be reminded of what he was like for a few years when he was one of the better players in the league.
I mean, guys, he was an all NBA and all defensive guy. I know everyone loves to be like, "Oh, he was a scrub." Like that's just patently not true. Like
Not
that
even
is
close.
not true at all.
Not even
Like
close. Yeah.
he was elite.
Yep.
So again, we'd love to see it, but we're not sure that that's likely to happen. All right, folks. We will be back on Thursday. Take care.